Welcome back to Bible and Blues, and today we are up to Acts 12. We are back in VR chat, which is a fun place to be. We're just doing the home world today. This is the world that you spawn in when you first come to VR chat. I'll go ahead and give you a little tour later on, just because it's not that big a world, so it won't take very long. But I really want to get into this one. This is Acts 12, and it is Peter's miraculous escape from prison. He is taken in. He is arrested. He is put in shackles. He has guards. The whole 9 yards. So before we get started, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe, please. I would love to hear from you. Make sure that you comment below if you have issues with how I'm interpreting what I'm reading or with a visual that I'm giving you. Try not to use the K word. Make sure I say things like unalive and things like that, because we do YouTube, TikTok, and these places are, can't handle the truth. What can you say? And I'm kind of hoping that we are kind of in a change in our society where we're going to be able to be more free with things. But we'll find out these are still private corporations. Always remember that they have their power of being private. So without further ado, Acts 12. Peter's miraculous escape from prison. It was about this time that King Herod arrested some who belonged to the church, intending to persecute them. He had James, the brother of John, unalived with the sword. Yes, I have to do that, sorry. When he saw that this met with approval among the Jews, he proceeded to seize Peter also. This happened during the festival of unleavened bread. After arresting him, he put him in prison, handing him over to be guarded by 4 squads of 4 soldiers each. Herod intended to bring him out for public trial after the Passover. So what we have going on here is King Herod is looking to, score some points among the commons. Okay, is essentially what he's doing, and in order to do that, he's persecuting the Christians. He had already, James, the brother of John, he'd already taken out, and he intended to do it with Peter. We know Peter, of course, survives, but the how is really interesting and fun. So Peter was kept in prison, but the church was earnestly praying to God for him. The night before Herod was to bring him to trial, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers, bound with 2 chains, and sentries stood guard at the entrance. Suddenly, an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. He struck Peter on the side and woke him up. "Quick, get up," he said, and the chains fell off Peter's wrists. Picture this in your head. Peter's in jail. He's shackled. Now, I have the visions of shackled to the wall, but, there's no evidence of that. But he had 2 chains. So he's shackled. He can't do anything. And he's sleeping between 2 guards. There's a guard to the left of him and a guard to the right. What is he supposed to do? What happens? An angel comes down and smacks him around. Says, get up. We have work to do. Get out of here. I'm just picturing all that. That's actually hilarious in my mind. And I just want to kind of get through that because that's just funny. Can you imagine that? Then the angel said to him, "Put on your clothes and sandals." And Peter did so. "Wrap your cloak around you and follow me," the angel told him. There's another aspect of it. He was in prison, shackled. He didn't even have his clothes on. I mean, he might have been in his small clothes. But odds are, there's a good chance he was completely naked because, I don't know, humiliation, thinking of, as a way of demeaning the prisoner even further. By stripping of his clothes, may very well have been part of it. I mean, look what they did. Look what they did to Jesus. They cast lots for his clothes. So Peter followed him out of the prison, but he had no idea what the angel was doing was really happening. He thought he was seeing a vision. They passed the first and second guards and came to the iron gate leading to the city. It opened for them by itself, and they went through it. When they had walked the length of one street, suddenly the angel left him. Again, a visual for you here. It's very visual writing here, especially for the time. Um, wrap your cloak. Peter followed him out of the prison. Now he's thinking he's just seeing a vision, just like he saw in Joppa with the when he was on the tanner's roof praying. He's just thinking it's another vision, so he's not really quite taking this seriously. Because what's going on? I mean, the chains just fell off of him. He was told to get his clothes and his sandals and come on. Uh, so he did, and at no point in time did the guards wake. There was no stirring. There's nobody chasing them down. This is through the power of God. God is providing this. I mean, the angel is there doing the work, being the messenger, smacking you around. Sometimes we just need to be smacked around a little bit, don't we? And then the gate, the iron gate leading to the city, opened for them by itself. So open the gates, open sesame, and it's and they had walked the length of one street, just one street. Well, and now the angel's gone. He just poof, he disappears. Then Peter came to himself and said, "Now I know without a doubt that the Lord has sent his angel, and rescued me from Herod's clutches and from everything the Jewish people were hoping would happen." I mean, he was a believer, of course, but as far as this is concerned, he understands that this is all the work of the Lord. And one of the things it says, then Peter came to himself. So he was in some sort of a trance during this. I mean, he was just doing what he was told because he thought he was in a vision, so he was kind of letting himself go with the flow. Probably in a bit of a trance just to kind of get quiet and do as you're told. When this had dawned on him, he went to the house of Mary, the mother of John, also called Mark, where many people had gathered and were praying. Peter knocked at the outer entrance, and a servant named Rhoda came to answer the door. When she recognized Peter's voice, she was so overjoyed, she ran back without opening and exclaimed, "Peter's at the door!" Okay. That's a very excitable woman. "You're out of your mind," they told her. When she kept insisting that it was so, they said, "It must be his angel." They're assuming that Herod had already unalived him. They're assuming that, that it really wasn't even him being there. It must be his angel. After everything they had already seen. I mean, think about this. After everything they had already seen. But Peter kept on knocking. When they opened the door and saw him, they were astonished. Peter motioned with his hand for them to be quiet and described how the Lord had brought him out of prison. "Tell James and the other brothers and sisters about this," he said, and then he left them for another place. And so he doesn't even get food. I mean, I'd imagine he was probably hungry. He just got out of prison, probably been there, most of the day, not getting fed, not getting food because I mean, do you really feed somebody that's about to go? I would think he would have gotten some food myself. In the morning, there was no small commotion among the soldiers as to what had happened to Peter. After Herod had had a thorough search made for him and did not find him, he cross-examined the guards and ordered that they be executed. And I can't say I'm surprised if that's what happened to the guards. They had a thorough search made. And this is one of the reasons, I guess, from another perspective, that, he had to get out of there. And break out into song. You have to listen to me singing. I'm sorry about that. But, after Herod had made a thorough search made for him and did not find him. Okay. So he had to get out of there. You knew Herod was going to be looking. You didn't want to stick around the area. Then Herod went from Judea to Caesarea, and stayed there. He had been quarreling with the people of Tyre and Sidon. Please, if you know the proper way to pronounce these, please tell me down below. Just use some phonetic spelling, please. Help me understand. Is it Tyre? Is it Sidon? I think it's Tyre. They now joined together and sought an audience with him. After securing the support of Blastus, a trusted personal servant of the king, they asked for peace because they depended on the king's country for their food supply. So this is a power he had. King Herod had power over these people who he'd been quarreling with them, but they kind of needed him. On the appointed day, Herod, wearing his royal robes, sat on his throne and delivered a public address to the people. They shouted, "This is the voice of a God, not of a man." Oof, this is not going to end well. Immediately, because Herod did not give praise to God, and an angel of the Lord struck him down, and he was eaten by worms and died. So I've actually seen some documentaries that discussed that Herod did die of a worm of parasitic infestation. You can imagine that it's probably resided in his body for some time. Some of them blame it to a certain extent for his mental capability or incapability. Remember, King Herod did a lot of bad things when it came to his family. He had some serious paranoia going on. So this is a big deal. But you can imagine that. Okay, this was already in his body, and then this happens, and it's like God kind of said, "Okay, you're gone. You've got those. That's how you're going to go." So, but the word of God continued to spread and flourish. One of the note is that what they're saying, the reason this happened was because they were praising him as a god. He did a public address, and apparently he was eloquent, and they were talking him like he was a god. This was something that would have been common for Caesar, for the Roman emperor, but not so much for for King Herod, the king. This was not the norm. And he simply received it. He didn't give praise to God. To do the right thing, he would have had to say no. God, that he would have given praise to God instead of taking the praise for himself. So we finish up this with when Barnabas and Saul had finished their mission, they returned from Jerusalem, taking with them John, also called Mark. Just a side note here, oftentimes people get renamed as they became disciples. This tradition is something we see in the Catholics quite strongly. When the Pope is risen, he takes on a new name. When oftentimes nuns, please feel free to correct me. I'm a Protestant. I wasn't raised in a Catholic church, so I'm making some assumptions here. Just some of it's just stuff you get from TV, so I could be way off base, and please correct me if I'm wrong. But as I understand, oftentimes when somebody is raised to a nunnery, to full sisterhood, they'll take on a new name as a sign of leaving their past behind them. And we see it in things like Saul becoming Paul, Simon becoming Peter, this John also called Mark. So we see these name changes. It's always something to kind of pay attention to because at this point in time, we're dealing with a very high level apostle or disciple. So anyway, so let's do this real quick. Walk around the VR chat home. This is the place where when you first come in, this is where you spawn, as they say. This is where this changes. This is a place where they'll change it. A couple of weeks ago, this was full of Halloween stuff. Today they took now the Halloween stuff is gone. They have this thing calling the MetaFest. You can see right up there on the top, it says MetaFest. Another place to see it is right there, which is just kind of it's a showing for avatar creators and people who create things in VR chat, and clothing and objects, stuff like that. It's a place where you can go. You can check out what they have, maybe buy something. I have not yet purchased anything. Not because I don't like them. It's because I haven't found something that really caught my eye. You are still buying a virtual item, but I'm using a free avatar at this point. I'd like to get my Ready Player Me avatar in here. I have it. I have another VR chat account that I use is straight with my Oculus, and that is a whole different story. And that has my Ready Player Me, but for some reason I haven't been able to get this one in. Um, that's actually, there's music playing that you can't hear. I shut it off because TikTok has issues with, things like that. This is just a mirror. You'll find this all over the place. Find these, go to the low settings, which just gives you that. These are some other avatars you can choose for free. There's a lot of free avatars. You can see there's 6 pages worth here, but there's tons of avatars you can use. There's whole avatar worlds where people put avatars, collect them, and put them up so that you can go look at them. These portals, different places you can go. Exoplanet Journey. Here's a public space called Winter Company. Starlight Lane, Beyond a Bit. A couple more public places. There's you'll find, and there's several pages of them here, but there are thousands of worlds in VR chats. Anybody can make a world if you have the knowledge of how to use Unity. You can create a world in VR chat, with varying degrees of complexity, with things that you can do. This area here was kind of dedicated to the season, and it was a Halloween theme before. I imagine it's going to become a Christmas theme soon. I don't know if they'll do anything for Thanksgiving. They'll probably, Thanksgiving typically is the unknown, the unknown place, but there's a Metafest again. It is kind of a neat place. It says Android. There's also rock, paper, and scissors. There are actually 4 different worlds that you can go to that will the show just looks a little bit different. So to give enough space for all the developers and all the artists is how it's shown. But yeah, you can invite your friends in here, sit and talk. I think it's neat. I don't think I've ever done that in here. But I imagine I could probably do it to a certain extent, like with DAR or something like that. So the avatars are a little funny. The avatars are fun. I'd like to find an avatar for me that is more masculine, not a furry. It'd be more pretty. I'm not too sure what I want yet. This one that I use now seems to be kind of popular among people who at least see it on the thumbnail. So I think that's pretty cool. But I'm going to get out of here. I really, I thank you for coming, and it was really a good time. This was my second attempt because for some reason my sound didn't mesh up. I don't know. I hope I got it fixed this time. Didn't use OBS. I'm using Camtasia this time again as a way of recording. So is what it is, and I thank you very much for coming. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Check it out down below. But thank you very much. Bye.